Okay, I'd like to call the Westford Conservation Commission meeting for August 23rd, 2023 to order. The first item on the agenda is open forum. Do any members of the commission have something for open forum? Matt?
I'd just like to remind everybody that the strategic planning retreat is September 7th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Kimball Farm, and to sign up and register online. That is all.
Do any members of the audience have something for open forum? Okay. Moving on to our 7 p.m. agenda item, public hearing for the Town of Westford Department of Public Works.
Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetland bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of the Westford Department of Public Works for the resurfacing of the basketball and tennis courts and installation of an accessible pathway within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and a vernal pool at the Jack Walsh Recreation Area, 90 Carlisle Road, Assessors Map 7, Parcel 9, Lot 0.
Good evening, members of the board, esteemed members of the board. Appreciate you having us here. My name is Hippolito Aguilera, and I represent Nestor Engineering. We've been working with the town of Westford and Steve Cronin on this particular project. This is a Jack Walsh Athletic Courts renovation project. I'd like to briefly kind of go through a few of these planned sheets and talk a little bit about what the existing conditions are on this project. Currently, there is a basketball court and 2 tennis courts on the property. This is a basketball court. It's actually a smaller version of a basketball court with no safety features on the side. There's no safety zones on this particular court. And here's the tennis court. The property is located in a pretty tight spot in terms of the natural resource areas, the wetlands surrounding it. The current existing basketball court and the tennis court are actually within the 100-foot buffer, the 50-foot buffer, and parts of it go into the 25-foot buffer zone. The idea and the proposal for this project is to replace these particular courts in kind, as well as adding some improvements, which I'll talk about in the next few slides. The proposal is to, move the tennis courts to the right about 20 feet or so, and also to add that safety zone around the courts, just to add that improvement to the site. And the idea is also to add pickleball courts. It's become a pretty popular item in terms of what we're seeing around some of our towns and cities. And so the proposal is to reduce it to 1 tennis court and then 4 pickleball courts, with the idea of the footprint remaining pretty close to the same. The new proposed layout involves adding pervious ADA accessible walkways, which there are not, don't exist right now. It also, the proposed changes involve, there's a catch basin, PVC pipe, and this drainage channel that's been created. It involves improving this and cleaning it out, blowing out the pipe, adding riprap here to improve this whole area. That's the biggest the biggest sort of changes here is these improvements here to the drainage channel. It's shifting the court, adding a little bit of that safety feature around the basketball court, and then just instead of 2 tennis courts, adding 4 pickleball and a tennis court. As well, there's and then there's existing benches here that are needing to be replaced. Some of them are a little bit old, and we're proposing to add a couple benches here under pervious pavement, as well as updating the surrounding fence. Some of it is falling apart and dilapidated. The challenge with this particular site is the entryway, and so I believe the previous slide here involves creating the entryway and access to the site. Since the playground is relatively new, we don't want to disturb it. So the only option based on the terrain and the property is to create this the construction entrance here, which will at the point of exit, project closeout, and as the machines and everything exits, is doing all those changes to the drainage channel, blowing it out, cleaning the catch basin, and restoring everything with the riprap here. There is very minor tree clearing, but it's unfortunately necessary because of the construction and how tight this is, and that construction entrance needed. So there's going to be some minor tree clearing here because of that.
What about the tree that's shown in the path of the gravel?
This one here will likely be removed as well.
Yeah, I think that one is marked as
It's got an X in it.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
I think so. I think it's just kind of.
But the narrative had talked about 3, so it's actually 4 trees being removed?
We can see if we can try to save this tree. I mean, it's sort of right. I mean, we can try to save it if needed, but yeah.
And just being clear on what's proposed.
Yeah, right now, the way this is set up here, it's 4 trees. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way to replant anything?
Well,
Are
Was
these
that-
outside? Are these outside the 100-foot though?
No, most of the trees.
Where's the 100-foot tree?
Probably right on it.
I think there is.
The 100-foot buffer is here. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, 1, 2, and I think the.
Is there any way on the
Three of them are in it,
perimeter?
one of them's out.
This one's outside of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's 2 either in or close to being in, with this being the second one that I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it may just be.
But our policy, if we can, is to replace what we take down.
Well, and
So is there
also,
a way to do that? I'd like to see trees put back in some fashion or somewhere near there.
Sure. Yep, we can replace the trees that we put down, that we take out. Sure. I don't think that.
I just would like to see it. I'm not particular as to just where they have to be.
Okay.
But for the purpose of,
Is there a preference? Would you like them sort of in
we can
this?
do that with Matt. He'll,
well, and I think some of it would be, part of it would also be with where they're putting the construction entrance in, is I think planting trees in there, because, now, when you say, do trees have to be of a certain diameter before they're counted as being removed, or are there smaller trees that are also going to be cleared to construct the construction
I
entrance?
think it's probably more in the way.
Yeah, I think there are some invasive species here. It's been a little while since I've been to the site, but
Okay.
these that are marked are usually above 2-inch or 4-inch
Okay.
BHD, so they are the bigger of the, the
I'm
trees.
thinking, in terms of if we want to have, well, some of it is, yes, replant some trees and then also let native vegetation fill in as well. But I agree with you that,
Yeah, but thinking of climate change, what we take down, I want to see put back up.
and starting with good-sized
1
trees.
to 1, too, is the way I feel about that.
Is there a particular town requirement as to the size of the tree? Typically,
Matt, can you talk about it?
It's typically standard nursery stock.
okay.
Nothing.
Yeah, so I think we see anywhere from roughly around 4-inch BHD is what I've seen at the nurseries, but we kind of at least start there. And
A couple of concerns and questions. I noticed the entrance walkway is pervious, but all of the courts are acrylic paint coated, so that's essentially seal coated, right?
yes,
What accommodations are you making for runoff from all the new courts?
so It's going to match what's there now as far as the existing courts with the acrylic surfacing, but we've tried to sort of maintain the general direction of the flow of the new courts. So
Any accommodations to help them along with infiltration?
so in terms of,
Because that's what I'd like to see. So
There is on,
is the diagonal with that, which is the crown,
yeah,
right?
so on C6,
That just flows it off
there is, let's zoom in.
for the basketball court only, though, right?
Right. They're proposing a 2-foot by 2-foot deep stone diaphragm to promote infiltration, reduce flow velocity.
The tennis court is also in that, like, 25 foot from the wetlands.
That's the issue I have too.
That would be a good
is,
place to
I
put-
look at C3 and then C5.
Yes.
You've increased and gotten closer than you already were, and you were at within the 25. And one thing that comes to mind is, when we were doing, was it Westford Tennis and Swim? And, they wanted to enlarge and have an impervious surface. We didn't let them go any closer than they were. And I see this as,
These are already very, very close to the wetlands, and I could see putting it back in this, almost the same footprint, but I'd like to see it improved, and that would be through some sort of increased drainage infiltration.
So per the wetland scientist's report that I received end of yesterday, shared with the commission, there is a jurisdictional resource to just south of this fieldstone wall, south of the courts, the existing courts, identified by W2, and was identified as an isolated land subject to flooding, which is jurisdictional under the local bylaw. So it is being kind of constrained on 3 sides by
have an
jurisdictional.
existing footprint, but what they did is to enlarge it to accommodate more. I mean, we should try to get them to do what they can within the existing footprint or an area that's, reconfigured so they can keep it further away from the resource.
I wasn't finished.
But just enlarging it, to accommodate the additional use, but, moving it, closer to the resources, I'm having a problem with that.
So anyway, that was my first point, is that I want to see increased infiltration from runoff from the courts.
increased infiltration.
And the second issue is the placement of the trash container, which looks like it would be the hardest to service and closest to the wetlands. If you could put it on the opposite side of the basketball court, it would be easier to access with the roadway and farther away from the wetlands.
Somewhere like in.
Sorry, I'm scrolling to it now.
Just
Right, it's
yeah, on
here
the
now,
opposite
but-
side.
This is your trash can now,
Yep.
and this is the 25-foot line.
Correct.
Right here, and it goes through that. So on this
Yeah.
side or over here, this is your roadway entrance, right?
Yes, right here.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, that's a construction entrance.
Only for construction?
It's construction, yes, construction entrance. And here's
So-
the
How are you planning to
parking.
empty that? Is that just a manual operation, or is it a truck-based, pick up a dumpster, or what?
It is just I think it's about 26 inches across. It's just
So a couple of trash cans?
it's like a one big trash can.
So it wouldn't be a big
It's not a
deal if that
dumpster.
was not next to your
Who
access
comes
road?
by for
No,
that?
yeah, it'll be like just, I don't know if it's like a 20-pound bag, a
Is that-
20, but
Who empties that?
I think that would be the parks, or, the DPW.
So if it's that small, they're
Oh,
gonna have
yeah.
to empty it very often. Okay. Or at least watch it to see if they have
So
to.
those are my only two concerns. The trash is currently closest to the wetland as it could be, and the drainage from the courts should be infiltrated into the ground.
would it be, in terms of the trash can and this particular seating area being here, would you rather see this walkway come around here and then have it located on this
The
side?
walkway's already pervious, so
Yeah.
either way is
So
fine with me.
you're
on
okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Or even maybe, is this too close if we put the area here, the viewing area here?
The what area?
The, like, seating
Trash
and
or
viewing and trash can area there.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That would be
close
okay,
to where
too.
people would be sitting on the benches.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, we can,
Eric?
I still ask you, how do you justify allowing him to move closer than where he currently is up there? I mean, I know what they're trying to achieve by accommodating the pickleball courts, but in essence, we're going from this square that currently exists now to this larger encompassing area. So clearly up top here is closer. And, you know, I would say at least up here, we shouldn't allow that, you know, him to get any closer than he currently exists. So I would not be in favor of at least up top
And
there.
so, just
yeah.
the design, the area off of the courts is standard kind of safe play, for lack of, you know,
Yep.
so that's dictating the area off the courts. You know, all those have some,
I mean, right now it's bituminous concrete. I mean, if anything, you know, it could be some maintained grass area, because we've seen areas closer, you know, being maintained in a grass, but, you know, not bituminous concrete.
So grass inside that. Now, this is.
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
have
if they
a,
did something other than concrete right in there, you know, it could be maintained, but
So there's a fencing around the courts?
There is currently fencing around the courts now, and then the proposed does have this fence area around it. So the difference is, so this little area here, this is the existing. So we're, you know, we've modified it to cut sort of the corners to try to stay away from the buffer zone a little bit more. But these lengths here they're triggered by the safety zone. And so part of this, the redesign in kind is to add the appropriate safety zone requirements around all of these courts, including the basketball court, which currently does not have that safety zone requirement.
but does a safety zone need to be bituminous concrete to have a safety zone? I mean, because then they're making an impervious surface.
Probably not.
So if it could, for example, if that could be, if all or part of
Prefer
the
it to
safety
be-
zone could be pervious?
I would prefer it to be grass or some other surface and
Yeah.
not some sort of pervious brick or concrete or supposed, you know, I would prefer it to be something that needs to be maintained, which is consistent with how we've applied people to get close, but there are other areas where they're not building a structure, but they have mowed and maintained, which is probably what they're doing here.
Well, and kind of tying in with your point, one of the things that this plan set does not include the proposed, what we would consider a site plan with which an as-built is compared. So we don't have something that shows what the site in total will look like when the project is finished, because you're still showing the trees here that are going to be removed. It doesn't have the buffer. So what we really need is a site plan,
Before and after.
a site plan of what the site will look like, including the things like distances to wetlands, buffer zones, you know, what that restored area will look like after the construction entrance is removed and those trees are gone. You know, we really need to see what that future plan will look like when,
It's a comparison.
yeah.
So we do have, you know, the existing conditions on page C2 or C3, but here, this is showing you, all this here is where the existing court is, and then the lighter green that you see here is where the newly proposed courts will lay out. On this side here, we can't see it, but this is the proposed changes, right? So this is new riprap adding.
What sheet is this?
This is
C6.
C6. What we
Yes.
don't have is a plan that shows us what the end state will look like. So the
Before
plan
and
for
after.
which,
Well, I don't even have distances to wetlands from
The
a corner
distance-
point to a point now versus, you know,
Don't have the
theoretically
buffer
what it
zones
is.
on.
I'm thinking it's based on, what is this, a 1 to 20 scale, that he's probably like at least 7 feet closer with the new plan than currently exists today.
Well, and what we need is we need a plan of what the work, what the site will look like when the project is completed, so that when we get an as-built plan, we've got something to compare it to be able to say, yes, this matches what was approved.
Well, so this particular C6 would be that, but I think what I'm hearing
is-
is you need some distances
We
between the
need the buffer
existing.
zones on it, we need the distances to the wetlands, we need the trees that are going to be gone, the trees that are being removed
And
should
where the
not
new
be on the
ones will be.
plan,
And where the new ones will be.
and where the new ones will be. We really need to know what
What does it
you
look like
intend the
now?
site to look like when you're done.
Right.
Yeah, it is a little, yeah, the buffer zones are here, but they're a little hard to read because it's grayed out.
Okay.
But, yeah,
We want maybe something to show them a little bit more pronounced.
the buffer zone's pronounced,
Yeah.
the distances
Yep.
of the proposed new courts to the wetlands, what the closest points of,
I think it would be easier just to tell him just to revise the plan such that he pulls it back from that corner. We already know that he's closer. I don't think we're going to allow him to get any closer than he is on that section. Is there a way that he can just shrink that down or adjust it such that he keeps it out of, no closer than it currently exists in that portion of the site?
And he has to indicate that he's going to grass it, or he's going to...
Or do something, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to know what the final piece will look like.
But I don't think
Make
just
sure.
by having him come with a plan
No.
and giving it, but still showing us the same plan, isn't going to get him what he wants. At least, it won't have my vote.
I would agree, but I'm just, and I guess my point was not the same as yours, but related, that says we need to see a plan of what the site will look like when we've agreed what we're going to approve.
So what we can do is modify this to show you more defined buffer zones, get you the distances, clearly remove, I believe it was this tree, I guess that's still being shown, that
And these three,
Yeah.
I think.
and these three, and we'll remove those. The other sort of thought that I had, as you were mentioning, there is this little section here between this fence and this sort of line that you see here. That's the particular court moving a little bit into the buffer zone.
Pull it back.
Would the board be okay to shift this entire court a little bit lower, just to stay out of this particular section here?
So shift everything,
A little lower? We
there's-
still,
If it gives us relief there,
yeah.
with that, okay.
what's it doing on this end over here? How close is it going to bring us to another?
Well, so the so there is, as I said before, the isolated land subject to flooding is shown here on the southerly side of the stone wall. And so this is the existing corner, and the proposed corner is moving. I mean, it's certainly rotating around, the wetland flags as shown for this isolated land subject to flooding. The nearest 2 points are right here, yeah, as Jim's showing. So I mean, it's kind of shifting along that, rotating along kind of that radius. But as, I said before, there also is this wetland area here that, is, moving it in one direction, further, changes the distances to two other, jurisdictional resource areas.
So you can't
Better
flip
way?
it 90 degrees, right?
Changes it in a better way.
No.
I mean, it just, I think it just moves it,
You get
I
farther
think we
from
just
one
have to
closer
see
to
the
another.
distances. We
right,
have to
we're
see-
moving closer to one, you're away from one and closer to another, or, maybe lateral to another.
We have to see it more defined,
Okay.
more detailed. And we also have to see what would happen if you grassed it.
So would it also be possible, as Eric had said, to have some of that safety zone be a grass strip?
Versus concrete.
Yeah, I personally have not seen it done that way because it's that change in terrain as you're running out into those safety zones that could be problematic. I can certainly check with the lead engineer
How are
to
they
see.
running out? They're playing tennis up here, and they, when you say running out, I don't think anybody's running out to the edge out there to play a ball or something like that.
Well, I mean,
Not gonna run out.
well,
I'm not so much, I'm talking about up there on the tennis court, not the little
Yeah.
pickleball ones. But, there seems to be quite a bit of area between where you're playing tennis, that right now is shown as bituminous concrete. And I'm hearing it, well, it's a safety reason, but, I guess I'm not seeing that.
Would the commission be welcome to if it was pervious pavement, just similar to the walkway, at least then,
It's dangerous.
right, and that's my, and that's, I'm
He has to
sure,
find out what he can do.
and I think in terms of the, as I said before, these safety standards are set by, some board for if you're going to have,
ASBA, yeah,
right,
System
which,
Committee.
is, the recreation department and, parks are, trying to hold to a standard of, safety, as well. So I understand it's certainly more, and it's,
You at least explore it.
Sure. So I
You're
think
gonna come
from,
back with.
Yep, from what I-
Let us know whether something's doable or not.
And do we know how much more we're going into the zone or closer to the, how many feet?
I can measure the,
Gotta be at least 10%.
The old one is clear, the new one is not shown.
Yeah.
It shows on C3, shows you the old.
approximately about 2 feet, 2.5 feet from this area here to the fence line.
So we are taking 2.5 feet more?
It's going, yeah, it's increasing by 2.5.
Seems more like that when I'm looking at on this plan right there than 2 feet, when the scale is 1 to 20.
Which C,
right,
that's
well,
C1?
the scale's on a,
I have the old one.
Scale's only good on the original drawings.
yeah, for the full size, yeah,
Right, when
Oh, I
these are
see what you mean,
reprinted.
that's one and the other, yeah.
yeah.
The only
So-
thing you can do to,
So-
only thing you can do to get an accurate measurement on these plans, don't go by the scale, is look for something that's measured already and use that as your marker. Because it was only 1 to 20.
Yeah, so I mean, this is, so this area
It's about 2.
north of the proposed pervious walkway is 2 feet, which certainly is, appears consistent with that, 2 feet there, approximately, I'd say 4 or 5 feet on the easterly side, and, maybe 6 feet, 6 to 8 feet kind of on the southerly side, so.
6 to 7 feet. Yeah. We can certainly explore options
And more detail,
for combining. Yep.
and more detail as to where things
more
actually
detail.
are.
1 inch equals,
And also,
At least 5 or more.
maybe we can come up with a version that will shift it down by those 2 feet to the north. Shifting it down 2 feet. We'll get a little closer on the south, on this side, but maybe that's, maybe that'd be an option for the commission to look at. But we'll explore the other options as far as changing some of the
Impervious to pervious.
Pervious, yeah.
trees.
great.
and I'm having a hard time looking at this. If you rotated the pickleball courts 90 degrees and only did 3 instead of 4, would that let you reduce the length or the total width of the area, if that makes sense?
Well, of course it would.
Well, no, I just,
You know, I see what you're saying. You want to remove one and put 3 that way. Of course, they'd be able to shrink it.
It'd be like 1, 2,
2, 3.
and then 3.
yeah, does that let you kind of decrease how much the footprint is getting bigger?
Looks like it may. We still have to adhere to the safety zone requirements around
Yeah.
the pickleball, but it's an option that we can explore, sure.
Okay,
Doing 3 versus 4?
yeah, 3 versus 4 and change the orientation, does that help with?
Or just move everything down.
Well, if it takes those
But
3,
you can also rotate it.
Yeah, because then he
Have
can
it
shrink
vertical
it.
instead of
I mean,
horizontal.
the other kind of question then becomes, does that impact any other trees? Are we now impacting trees along this,
By sliding?
Well, that's not what she's saying now, because if he just puts those 3.
Right, no, but also, if they slide, if there's a way
We
to
impact
slide it
something, we fix it.
southerly, are we impacting root systems of trees that,
Well, if you do the 3, you can keep it within the existing footprint that you have today.
Or at least maybe get it closer to staying within the existing
Oh,
footprint.
I think you'd be able to get it within
Okay,
your existing
but-
footprint. And meet all your safety concerns. You can tell just by looking at it.
Oh, without a ruler, I can't. But it just,
All of the
one of the
above.
things to look at it while we're at this point of the discussions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Matt, did you have any, the members of the audience have any comments or questions on this project? Okay, in terms of when you'd want to come back before us with, for the continuation,
the commission's next meeting is in 3 weeks on November 13th.
September.
September,
You
yep.
skipped a whole couple of months.
Trying to move things along here, hell.
When is it, September what?
September 13th or September 27th.
I think we would love to try to get everything ready for the commission by the 13th.
Excellent.
Okay. Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to September 13th?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our 7:05 PM agenda item. We have a continuation of public hearing and issue order of conditions for Butler, 81 Nutting Road.
Hello, good evening. For the record, Doug Lees from Land Engineering and Environmental Services, representing the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Butler, on their order, notice of intent for Alleyway off Nutting Road, 81 Nutting Road. As mentioned in your introduction, this is a continued hearing. We've pretty much addressed all your comments at the last hearing, I believe. We did resubmit new plans to try to tidy up some outstanding issues between DPW, Planning Board, and the Conservation Commission. Submitted those plans back around August 8th or 9th or 10th, I believe. We added a stone retaining wall detail that was requested. My plans a little crooked, but right up here on the top left-hand corner of the grading sheet, we have a detail of the retaining wall. As you remember, we added the retaining wall around the infiltration pond to reduce the grading. How to use this? We added the retaining wall down here, so we added a detail. The wall was on the last plan, but we didn't have a detail. We added erosion control blanket to the areas where the slope is going to be greater than 3:1. So this area right here, above the wall, we kind of cut down to a 2:1 slope to stay out, because that's existing, it's about a 1:1 slope. So it's really impossible to catch up once you start cutting into it. So to minimize it, we have a 2-to-1 slope. We added an erosion control blanket in that area to help it stabilize until the grass grows, the vegetation grows. We're not going to maintain it, we're not going to mow it, we're just going to allow it to naturalize. We're seeding it. We added a note on the plan specifying the type of seed. It's just a New England wildlife mix from the New England plants. Just a variety of species that are native, so that it'll fill in that area with some native vegetation that won't, again, it won't be maintained, it won't be mowed. The only thing that'll be mowed is the pond itself twice a year, just to maintain it. We added the snow storage areas to the plan. We have one up in the back by the cul-de-sac, one right here, and we have a small one right here by the entrance. We added a hydrant. It's actually on the plan and profile, but it's right at that location. And that was the, oh, there's a little pad the planning board wanted down here, a little spot off of the roadway for students, for children to wait for the school bus. If a car came, they could step off the pavement. We had a gravel pad, and somebody asked that it be stone to allow better infiltration and easier to maintain. So it's just going to be 3/4-inch stone pad right off the edge of the roadway. They're only 5 by 6 foot. It was on the plan before as gravel. Now, that's it. Those are the changes.
Where's that location where we read it?
It's right there.
Okay, I see it, yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the entrance of the road, and that's really just,
Stay at this Zoom.
that's pretty,
Can you stay at the Zoom just for a minute?
yeah.
In the order of conditions draft, there was something about conservation markers near where parcel A meets the roadway right-of-way. I couldn't find them on the map. Just on page B of the conditions in the finding area. But I don't know, I also don't recall talking about any markers.
We have not discussed markers. It was in the conditions. I assume it was something the commission wanted, so we were going to agree to put them in, and I was going to talk to Matt about where exactly you wanted them.
It's in the, like the third paragraph on page B of the draft conditions.
Yeah, I don't. It's all along where the east.
Describes where parcel A meets the right-of-way boundary of the road. And I looked in there, I couldn't find them, and I don't recall even
Yeah, I don't
talking about markers in that
recall
area.
why I put that in.
All right, I would recommend that we take that
Seems
out of
like-
the draft.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get to, yeah. if we-
All right, good.
When we get there?
Yeah, we can get there, we can
That was the only
certainly
concern I had, thank you.
remove that.
Any other questions from members of the commission?
We have trees being removed. Are we having anything put back? We're gonna become the tree
Right
person.
along the road there, you know, I had made
Taking
that
down
comment
9
as well earlier.
I think it's 10 trees along the road, 9 trees along the road, and there's one that's actually on the property, feet coming down. And then there's some trees where the new road is going in, but the remainder of the site is wooded where we're not grading. Can't really plant trees on the areas where we're grading at 3-to-1.
And they are, the conservation seed, the disturbed areas within the riverfront are being proposed to be seeded with the conservation wildlife seed mix.
Okay.
And those typically have grasses, flowers, and.
So where he's pulled these trees out, these monsters that and I asked you about this, and you had said, yeah, we, due to sight distance, they couldn't plant some like 5 feet back from where they currently exist, some of the same type, so you have your sight distance view, but ultimately, as, times goes by, you refill that back into the way it visually is today.
This is all wooded right here, and there are trees 5 feet back. We're just taking down the ones that we.
Yeah, but are they,
Right along with us. I mean, they're the same trees. It's not like
Okay.
there's some trees in the right of way and different trees on the
So there are
lot.
ones, okay, so, I'm taking down a 30-foot oak, but I'm going to have something similar in size, 5 feet back from that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are oaks, it's mostly pines in the area, but there are oaks mixed in with them.
They're just not shown on the plan?
Correct. We just located the ones in the right of way. And
Okay.
that was per the planning board's request.
Because right
Well,
now
we
I
asked
see the
planning board.
grading and everything, but I don't know, without a picture, it's hard for me to see what it
Very
is.
steep, I think, right?
It's very steep. It was an old gravel area. So, someone took all the gravel out, and this is what was left. It goes up pretty much 1-to-1 where they didn't take the gravel out probably because of the river.
So where you show the existing tree line on the property, there are significantly sized trees within that.
Yep.
we did save a whole bunch of them by reducing the amount of regrading.
Yes, that was actually the commission.
Right.
I mean, I didn't think it would work,
We
and I
were
did it,
doing
and
what
it
we
did.
could, yeah.
So it's heavily forested, that area already.
Even on those slopes, there's big trees growing.
Asking the question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Matt, do you have anything?
No, not until we get to the draft order.
Do members of the audience have any comments or questions on this project? Okay, in that case, moving on to the order of conditions. We want to,
I just had the,
so we want to remove the condition that mentions the post?
I think so.
I think it's just a finding.
It
As a
was- right,
finding?
Yeah,
yes.
it's-
Yes, it's only in a
Okay.
finding, yeah. The,
Oh, yeah.
it's the third finding on page B.
So we'll remove the third finding on page B. Okay?
That's all I had.
Can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions as amended?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Do you want me to send this to you to record?
Sure, yeah, yes, please, thank you.
Okay. So moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item, continue the public hearing and issue order of conditions for Franklin 31 Bridge Street.
Hello, good evening, and for the record, Doug Lees from Land Engineering and Environmental Services.
You changed your hat.
Yeah.
Yo, good, he's gonna come up here with me, sharing the fun, and with me is Mr. Franklin for his notice of intent. Site improvements here at 31 Bridge Street. As you remember, we had a good, I think a good discussion at the last Conservation Commission meeting. To address some of the items that were brought up at that meeting, we've shown new locations for the metal storage boxes, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are located around this part of the property are gonna be moved back here on the pavement up by the railroad track, so you wanna look at the big plan up here. And then there's one in the woods over here that's gonna get moved right next to this gravel area that's being put in.
Over further, yeah.
Yeah.
Here to.
Yeah, so it's right there, it's kind of half on this sheet, half on the next sheet. There was one that was snuck in the woods, that's gonna be moved right here, further away from the wetland on the other side of that proposed infiltration trench. And then we relocated the concrete blocks that we had that were inside the 25-foot along the existing edge of pavement. We relocated them outside the edge of pavement, outside the 25-foot, no disturb, so that that'll keep stuff from being pushed into the 25-foot buffer. Those were the changes we made to the plans. The order of conditions, and it seems thorough. They both,
Voluminous.
they were
Well, I'm happy
both
to see
very-
the removal or the relocation of the storage containers. I mean, that was one of our big issues.
Jim?
Likewise, I'm very happy to see those things moved out of the wetland areas directly, and at least out to 25, 30, 35 feet area, something like that. But I'm still a little bit concerned about the draft condition about the contents of those. We've been talking about the problems on this site for years, literally, and I really don't want to wait months more to find out what might be in those
Matt,
boxes.
I was expecting to get something from conservation as to what would be allowed or not allowed. Realistically, hydrocarbons won't be allowed,
Okay.
pesticides won't be allowed.
Good.
That pretty much covers most of the stuff. I mean,
What's in
inert
there?
products, like concrete bags might be, stored. Most of the people there are contractors. So, if they're doing construction, it might be concrete, bags of concrete left over from a job or supplies like that.
Going forward, as you have new tenants coming in.
Hey, I read your,
Those descriptions,
they'll get a sheet
condition
saying you're not allowed to put hydrocarbons in here or pesticides.
Condition 27 covers
Yeah.
what they're planning to do, and you'd let us know within 10 days or so after they move in, and you've given them a list and all, that's great.
Yeah.
The only part I'm concerned about is right now, what's in them now?
We've given you
Yeah,
multiple pictures.
I've been out.
Since they've been moved, it's the same,
I mean, since they haven't been moved, you would,
They haven't been moved
No,
yet,
they
this is
haven't been moved.
proposed locations.
We haven't moved anything, but we went through.
We didn't want to go in there and do stuff
yeah,
without.
and doing the,
Back to you guys.
and doing the, an inspection a couple months ago, I think there was one 1 gallon jug of, an oil type, Pennzoil.
petroleum product.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was addressed and removed. Everything is dry storage of, I don't know, there were washing machines, there were, ladders, there's an entire storage container of ladders, and so it certainly is consistent with what the commission, the
Looking
current
for.
conditions are.
Mr. Franklin rattled off a couple of things those are the typical type of things that we like to, that we don't like to see in people's sheds when they build them near a wetland,
Yeah.
or in these kind
No,
of
we've
containers
been-
that are near the wetland.
We've been doing this for a long time now.
Yep, we have.
First time, we really haven't had any egregious, I would say egregious, issues. And
I would
everybody's
disagree, I would
been
disagree
warned.
with that, but,
Huh?
I would disagree with that, but
All
okay.
right, well, okay, then we haven't had
Lately.
recently, the last 2 or 3 inspections.
True.
We've gone through and we've provided pictures. There has been really nothing that would be,
Agreed.
I would say egregious.
Yep.
Some minor missteps here and there, but it wasn't anything. No one was running an auto oil change out of the.
Nothing systemic.
Okay,
So,
it's a lot better.
let's hope. Been trying to, we're trying to play nice.
How long have we been at this now?
3 and 3/4 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been some
My son
time.
died 3 years ago, so.
Yeah,
I
remember
very
that.
And we're sorry
familiar
for
with
that.
it, Because this was his thing to deal with. So, yeah, it's been.
Okay,
So where we at?
So,
Any further comments or
Nothing on
questions
the
on the orders?
plan, and if there's any questions about the drafted special conditions, I can certainly.
So do we have like a tickler file or something where we can keep track of these upcoming dates if we approve the order of conditions
Yeah, I
today?
mean, I'd be putting them in, 10 days, 10 days from enforcement.
10 days, 2 months.
For appeal, and then, following up, that they're going in my calendar to follow up with the property owner.
All right, good.
okay, that sounds good.
okay. So before we get to the orders, are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay. So people have had a chance to review the order of conditions? Any comments or questions?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So just based upon my tracking, Eric, Jim, Marilyn, and Margaret are the quorum who have attended or mulled for one meeting. So who can vote on the order not to close the public hearing.
So Ann and Noel have to abstain from
Yes.
the orders? Okay. So can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those forced to abstain? Yeah, forced to abstain?
Yeah.
2, okay. So can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You can vote to close.
Yeah, you can vote to close.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will have this, I'll send it to you for recording. Signatures, everybody gets to sign.
Okay. So they can't vote, but they can sign?
Yes. The signing is a ministerial act of, as being on a
I
board.
was about to say, do you want to cross my name?
Okay. So moving on to our 7:15 PM agenda item. It's a public hearing and issue order of conditions for Westford Conservation Trust, 0 Wright Lane, and unnumbered Hildreth Street parcel.
Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetland bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 at 7:15 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of the Westford Conservation Trust for construction of a 76-foot-long by 4-foot-wide boardwalk within a bordering vegetated wetland at 0 Wright Lane and an unnumbered Hildreth Street parcel, Assessors Map 21, parcels 103 and 105, lots 0.
Good evening. My name is Rich Strasdis. I'm president of the Westford Conservation Trust, and I authored the notice of intent. As mentioned, it's a simple boardwalk, 4 feet wide, in 2 sections that total 76 feet in length along 2 adjacent properties. The bordering vegetative wetland exists as a shallow puddle. It's 1 to 2 inches deep from about March through late May. And this goes through a Conservation Trust land as well as an easement on the Saltbox Farm parcel. And the boardwalk would enable the trail to be usable 12 months of the year.
Any comments or questions from members of the commission?
Looks good.
The design of the boardwalk was from some California, it was some, the style was from some, I forget where it was.
I forget as well. I looked at many different options.
Some state parks, design guidelines, which, certainly for the,
Fit for this.
low, going through a wetland, certainly it's on, I think, sitting on 6x6 timbers.
It was meant to be at least intrusive as possible. There's no digging involved.
That's good.
Looks good.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Ellen?
I'm Ellen Harding, 39 Main Street. I'm on the board of directors of the Westford Land Preservation Foundation. We've worked closely with Rich on this. We negotiated the easement, and we worked with the landowner of Saltbox Farm to get the agricultural preservation restriction on that. We're thrilled that this is finally going forward and making use of that work that was done. And
So are we.
So people have had a chance to review the order of conditions. If there are no changes needed, can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
We'll send
Thank you.
one more for signatures.
It's nice to finally have it happen.
Yes, okay. So, moving on to our 7:25 PM agenda item, an appointment with Ellen Hardy to discuss proposed project at 70 Boston Road.
Thank you so very much for your time. I'm here wearing a new hat. I'm now the president of the Through Farmhouse, Inc., which has been created to create 5 workforce affordable housing units in the farmhouse that you may know as the former offices of Coldwell Banker at 70 Boston Road. All of the work that we're going to be doing is totally an interior renovation. For the last 30 years, it's been 40 real estate workstations, and that's the area that we will be renovating. But the most recent site plan for that land was done in 1993, when the renovation to real estate was done. So the planning board asked us for this project to have a new site plan done, and that's the plan that's before you tonight. And we're not going to be doing any site work. All of our work is interior. But in creating this site plan, Land Tech proposed, and I quote from their supplemental data report, a drainage device utilized in accordance with the best management practices to provide and help remove total suspended solids and phosphorus from stimulated stormwater runoff. That's in their report dated July 25th of this year. But this runoff is nothing that's created by the Drew Farmhouse project. It is existing stormwater that's already there. Land Tech thought that this was a good thing to do, but as it turns out, this drainage device is 10 feet into the buffer zone. So that's why I'm here tonight. I need your advice and counsel as to what we do at this point. That was wonderfully helpful. He sent us an email on the 3rd of August where he basically outlined what our options are. One is to simply have it redrawn and completely take out that back 2 foot wide encroachment, which is the P-stone drainage ditch. And the other two are to continue with it, but it probably would require a request for determination of applicability from your board. And this is a world that's completely new to me. I've done a lot of Westford government, but Conscom has not been one of them. So I really need your advice as to how we proceed. We have this plan, but we could have it amended. We have, at this point in time, we really want to move forward. We have a unanimous approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals in May to do the 5 units, and to work with Habitat to do 2 units in the barn. Very exciting partnership. We have the 100% unanimous approval of affordable housing, Historical Commission, Community Preservation Committee, and this last Monday, the Planning Board to go ahead with this project. And we're on the warrant for October 16th to seek CPC money funds to do both affordable housing and the historic preservation of the 1860s farmhouse. So this is sort of a new little, there have been lots of little bumps, but this is a new one, and I need your advice as to what you would suggest we do and what our options are at this point in time. Because from a stormwater standpoint, it looks like a good idea, but we have neither the time nor the money to do a long
You want to go first?
process.
I thought I heard you saying that there's a possibility of reducing the, like, by 2 parking places in the back that infringe onto the 100-foot? Is that what you were saying? Or just the...
Or just get rid of that
Just get
proposed
rid of that
P-stone
little
diaphragm
2-foot
trench, that little piece that kicks out.
That, and there's just, you know, so there is impervious area. This is the,
Yeah.
more. You know, so the existing pavement, you know,
The reason I'm asking about it is because I just envision snow clearing in the parking lot of a plow coming in and pushing everything straight out.
Absolutely not,
To the
Joe.
end.
Jim, that snow has been plowed in that parking lot since 1993, and it's all goes off to the 495 side, and that's where the storage area is, and it's not in the wetland. So that's not a new situation created by what we're doing here. That parking lot is, as it is now, slightly reduced.
It's just that infiltration.
It's that infiltration, yeah.
and there's, you know, and so.
And where it's located, I'm not even
There's-
concerned with that. I know it's like 95 feet or something.
Right,
That's fine.
but, you know, they are removing some impervious on the southerly side of the property, or
So
the
between
parking
those
lot.
2 lines?
Yeah, so that little area there, but they are also, you know, to facilitate easier turning, you know, I'm sure.
If they came
standard-
before us and did a request for determination, we'd issue a negative determination.
Right.
You know,
It would be a
that's
one-day.
ultimately what the decision would be. So if they wanted to keep the plan as is, and we had them file that request for determination, how much further is this going to push that back? And, you know,
I mean, the filing deadline was today. We can certainly take in the filing deadline Monday, you know, if this is, you know.
because we'd have them revise the plan and change and make changes where I know if they just did the RDA, we'd only be meeting for
It
all
certainly
of
is
like 10
consistent
minutes.
with the
if
commission,
less.
you know, it's, you know, relocating some existing pavement to a proposed, you know, to facilitate better turnaround, and, you know, a stormwater BMP, which is certainly nothing out of character for the commission to, you know,
Yeah.
to infiltrate.
It would be a
and-
public hearing on the September 13th. It would be opened, we'd review it. As the plan shows, we would issue a conditional negative, and it would be closed that
Or
night.
simply a negative, and
Or
that would be
negative.
done with it.
Yeah.
But public hearing means informing all the abutters and advertising in the newspaper and several $100s more that we really don't have in our budget. But if it's the only route we can go, Margaret, I understand that. But it's not minor for what we're doing.
Yes.
But what are we allowed to do and what are we not allowed to do?
I don't think, I don't, you know,
You don't see a bypass.
I tried, I looked to see what, you know, and in my, you know, that August 23rd email, you know, it kind of, I'm just scrolling back up.
What you propose.
You know, it was, you know, file an art, you know, I think the fastest way is to file a
And the
request for
cleanest
determination.
way, Ellen,
And then it's,
cleanest way to do it.
and then it's,
Hearing in the whole 9 yards?
yeah. I
It's
mean,
not a
otherwise-
notice of intent, though. It's an RDA, which
yeah.
the filing fee is
It's a
25?
bylaw filing fee, $25, you know, the
not
legal
big
ad.
bucks.
The legal ad, which unfortunately isn't
Yeah.
nothing, and, you know, notifying abutters, which, you know, if using a certificate of mailing, you know, can certainly reduce the cost from using certified mail, you know, as opposed to, again, the regulations just say it needs to get into the mail and go out into the world, you know, be
Even though
received
it's
by
a
the
little
post
bit more
office
money,
and
it's
sent
not
out.
It's not horrific.
Well, we're talking about $500 or $600 by the time we
We're talking about
advertise them. $500 or $600 by we advertise in the
and-
Lowell Sun and the Post.
Yeah, it's probably, you know, I mean,
Okay.
But it's the
Between the
cleanest
legal ad-
way.
the legal ad and the.
Ellen, it's the cleanest way.
Well, one would, but if Land Tech just changed the plan and we didn't encroach at all, and we went back to the parking lot as it is now, would we not have to, could we do that?
true. I mean, if you eliminated a
Wanna
couple
do
of
that,
parking
but-
spaces in that
They are-
treatment system, then
Eliminate
you
the
would
whole
be,
piece.
it wouldn't even be coming before us.
Right, it would eliminate what we had, then we'd have no jurisdiction.
I mean, the one comment you know, and I wouldn't want to speak for our planning department staff, but now you're changing.
I'm aware
you
of
know,
that.
The site plan, you know, there's, you know,
Okay.
But that's not
Engineering
costing her
time.
any money.
well, but it's
You
costing
know
the
what I mean?
engineering, you know,
What'd you say?
it's costing, you know, staff time for, you know, to revise a plan.
And Land Tech would have to do that, and we probably would pay them what we'd pay you. So, thank you for your advice. I will find out from Matt tomorrow what the.
And the purest
what
way is
that
always the
application
best
is.
way.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Doesn't come back to bite you.
I just thought if I could find a free way to do it, I would ask
Sorry,
that to
Ellen.
request.
She actually has options, so, you know.
Never hurts to ask.
Thank you, that was my philosophy. That's how we've gotten here, as far as we have for this project. So I appreciate that. I don't think you need a motion to give me that advice and counsel. And I'll just be in touch with Matt tomorrow. Is that something I can just download? Is there an RDA online?
There's
so
a
I can get it?
checklist, and I can send you, maybe not first thing in the morning, but
No,
9 o'clock-ish, I can get that to you.
And you said we missed the deadline.
Yeah, it's more just for our own staff time to prepare, but again, this should be fairly quick to draft a legal notice.
And that will be your September 13th meeting that I will come back and join you? All right. Thank you all so very, very much. Thanks for making time tonight. I know it was short notice, and I'm very grateful. All right.
Project.
It's a fun project. Whoa, that has wheels. I should know that by now.
And that's how the glass broke.
Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, moving on to our 7:30 PM agenda item, a minor modification request to install new water lines at 6 and 8 Callista Terrace.
This is being tabled to the commission's next meeting. I got
Okay.
overzealous and added it to the agenda in error.
Okay, but no need for a motion to continue because it's not a public hearing.
Yep.
Okay. But we do have a continuation of a public hearing for Canal McGaw at 29 Kais Road. And the applicant has requested continuance without discussion to September 13th, 2023. Can I have a motion to continue?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to discussion and action items.
I do not have an update as to the public meeting participation requirements.
Is that's just,
Something I'm working on. I haven't
okay.
gotten.
So it's not something like you'd be waiting for town council or something to come back to us? Okay.
I thought we were waiting.
No, I have asked. It's just, you know, in the flow of.
Right, we
I
haven't gotten a reply
I haven't,
Right.
yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So we have asked them and we're waiting for their answer
Okay.
for the minutes. So the next item is consider submitting letter of support for House Bill 1723 and Senate Bill 1137, an act relative to legal advertisements in online-only newspapers.
This is a great segue to what Ellen was discussing. Right now, per the state regulations, legal ads need to be published in a print newspaper of general circulation. We currently can only use the Lowell Sun. The fees for the publishing are approximately $200.
I believe it.
If the commission considers supporting these, it would allow for us to advertise in, say the Eagle Independent or Westford Eagle Independent, I think it was, in place of
Yeah.
just solely, which, prior to them stopping their print edition, legal ad from them was, I think, $65 approximately.
Any kind of an ad.
And so
Probably an obituary.
and so this came up in a Mass Society of Municipal Conservation Professionals newsletter. The Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners also, I had a similar email today or yesterday to this effect. If the commission is in favor, I've also shared this with the planning department staff for the planning board and zoning board of appeals, as they are also quite regularly preparing and submitting these legal ads. And if both those boards are in favor, our department was consider sending one email or one letter of support, on behalf of all the land use or whichever land use boards.
Jim?
So these are essentially the House and Senate bills of this, saying essentially the same thing, just slightly differences in languages?
The House and the Senate bill
Probably
are the
doing
same.
Together.
They are, okay.
Yeah,
That's
these are.
probably together.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. And it's to authorize the use of online-only newspapers, and it would replace the requirement for
And the cost
general
of the-
circulation newspapers.
Yes.
Good, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it, too.
So can I have a motion to
Submit a letter of
Support.
support.
submit a letter of support?
I move we support the two.
Second.
Okay, can I have, all those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
I do not have an update at this time for the Cloverleaf and Lane enforcement order.
Okay. The Stony Brook Conservation Area Broken Trail Memorial Bridge, the
Bench.
Anything on it?
Nothing new since the last, they're scheduled for the end of September.
Okay. Stony Brook Conservation Area User Concern Follow-up.
And we have additional user concerns that were added this week, too.
Yes, is since the commission's last meeting. I was able to share town council's opinion about if the commission wanted to pursue resident, non-resident pricing, pricing for parking or access, or however it may be. It certainly could be considered per town council, and I was able to find Peter's comments in the open forum of January 27th, 2021. That we may need to further follow up with the select board but if this was something the commission wanted to pursue, that would be an avenue. Additionally, in the FY25 operating budget, I requested $4,000 for to hire attendants similar to Edwards Beach and Forge Pond, to charge a gate fee.
We have to wait till 2025?
I mean, we can, fiscal year 2025, so it would be next
Yeah,
July. Right, and,
I'll be dead.
try to get, municipal fiscal years will give you a brain freeze with the best of them. So that was, in that fiscal 25 budget, I spoke with the recreation director who hires and staffs Edwards and Forge. She did express some concern about just where there are typically two people on staff, two people present. If one calls out, that can certainly lead to, issues with it being staff.
You mean if somebody is not able to perform their shift, all of a sudden?
Right, you can't have one person out there at a time, particularly at that,
Maybe we can use some interns from the academy. We've had people actually come to town hall.
The
You know,
Williams
in the
Avenue
junction.
Beach is a very public, open area. You can see it from the road walking by, cars coming and going continuously. Our beach, the day beach, is the one that we have the most problems with.
Right.
And the behavior we're observing that I'm seeing in these letters, it really disgusts me. It's not getting better. It still happens on almost every weekend where the weather's nice. I don't think putting a high school kid sitting in a chair in the beach area
Well,
is
it
a
wouldn't be
good
at the,
idea.
it wouldn't be at the beach. It would be,
It's only
at
parking.
the bend off away from the railroad, or, somewhere more,
Public?
yeah, not,
Yeah.
at the
But
beach
But the
exactly.
problems are at the beach.
They're
Right, no,
different
but-
problems.
Someone comes in with a cooler, what do you do?
Jim, I haven't, this
Yeah.
is not a fully fleshed
I know,
out, I
I'm just-
understand your.
So what we're talking
just-
about is somebody, so to access the beach, to use the day beach would now require some kind of and I'm drawing a blank on what people
Pass of
use,
some
a
sort.
pass.
At the other beach, you just show your license that you're a Westford resident.
Yes.
And there's no problem. If you're a non-resident, there's a small fee or
Yeah,
something.
she said $5 and, again,
But, I
nominal.
mean,
So collected at that time?
Right, either at the access gate toward, that closest point to, but also, kind of this dovetails into Marilyn's question from last week. It was Concord who hired a land steward ranger position.
And what time do you wanna say it?
And I'm working toward, on
I
the
want a
language
CPA.
for.
I'd like to see a CPA application for that particular
Well, but-
person.
I think if
one
we
of
have
the
something
things-
like what Marilyn's envisioning, I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to work, and I think that's the only way it's going to work. Having a high school kid sitting in the parking lot or sitting at the beach is going to do nothing except put that kid in danger. I think we're already in a dangerous situation. If you read the letters we got in the past week, and then if you go back to the ones from 2 weeks ago, it's just more piling on. I think what we need is some, maybe several shifts a month with a Westford police officer to go in there unannounced and check the place out. You can look at the forecast on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and find out which weekends are going to have beautiful Saturday and Sunday weather. Those are the days you go in the afternoon. And you don't just say, oh, there's not enough signage, there's not enough, we told them to put it away. That's not good enough. I think you have to make it, to have any kind of real enforcement, there's got to be some kind of a negative aspect to the bad behavior, and that means enforcing the fines and using them. I really do. I think we have to go with a part-time police officer.
Well, actually, and so that's where, Matt, the information you've gotten from Concord, we need to look at what those job descriptions are that says, does that person have enforcement responsibilities, which is what we need. But the other thing is, and I think, Matt, what you've been working with Umesh for in the current season is to get him out there on weekends, get him out there randomly so that there's a pair of eyes that is already able to reach out to the police department if something is observed. Carolyn?
I think you need a multi-pronged thing here. You're going to need something before you do your application. My suggestion is that the application process is going to be, after January, that we have something to go for that, so that it would be awarded for, for the town meeting in the
2025.
spring. That's only one piece, okay? Because it takes a while to put together and it takes a while to hire. The police department has their hands full with whatever they're doing now, in addition to what we ask them to do. That's another piece. I think we have to find out any other ways we can have a check and balance. I don't know I don't know what that is. We have to ask, maybe we do ask at the high school whether there's any way we can have stewards come into the camp. We need something to report so they could call the police department if we saw something. We're doing it after the fact. So, I mean, I know.
Well, I do
Jim's
like
here.
Jim's thought of, hey, we should just be having the police patrol.
Yeah, but it's easy for us
And
to
like he
say
says,
with
when the
everything.
weather's good, there are going to be
Those
issues.
are the days, yeah.
And it's not too far. I mean, it's a pretty central
Yes,
area of
but I'm sure
Westford.
their
I gotta
schedule's
think they
full,
can
too.
find the time just to pop in and take a walk around and make sure that everybody's abiding by the rules and regulations.
Matt, have you spoken to?
Yes, so there have been, so the police officers, when called, will respond to the beach area.
Usually after something's
I
happened.
understand that. And, they do they are aware to patrol, they do go through the parking lot, but that again isn't, it isn't at the beach. Some concerns to Jim's, the police off, a couple hour, duty officer there of some sort. Those are volunteer shifts for the police department to fill. So if they don't get filled, they don't get,
You make it like a detail.
no, that's what I'm saying. So, we would be paid, but if it doesn't get filled, it doesn't get filled.
I know there's cost to
Right,
that.
no, and that's not, it's more so the staffing of, if.
It's the body rather than the cost.
Right.
In terms of if nobody signs up to take that detail, we don't have a body there.
So we need to brainstorm to see how we bring bodies in there, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but I do know that we have to dig deeper.
I'm not going to support a high school kid sitting.
No, I understand that, I understand that.
Yeah, that's putting somebody in harm's
That's
risk.
right.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah,
beyond that
I
now.
get that,
How about, you talked about surveillance cameras once. Is it even feasible out there? Is there power there?
There are some out there currently. I don't think there's.
Bay Beach, I don't think. They were at the boys' camp beach.
I don't know where they actually are, and I don't
Might
want
even
to
be
tell
there
them where
anymore.
they are on public.
You don't want to,
May not even.
Do we know what it would cost us if we were paying for a detail at all at the police department? I mean, like our own budget that we asked for?
I do
that
not
we-
know what the exact dollar amount is, but I can get that
That's another
information.
thing to find out for us, in terms of, we asked for X amount of money, we're in a town that's in trouble now. I don't know how much we're short, $8-10 million, but I know we're short a lot. But if there's a cost to that, we need to know what that is, because if we have to pay for it, we have to have a raise in the budget. So, I mean, we just need all these facts, and then approach it from a lot of different ways.
but because the emails that come to Matt from people also come to me, and one of the things that I liked that June McMorrow did was she left the area and then she called the non-police emergency number, and I think
Absolutely the right
So
way
we
to do
wanna-
it.
we wanna post that.
I think if we have more people do that, so that officers, if they see something and they call, the more frequently officers respond, that will also send a message.
I agree. And maybe we need a sign up saying, I'm not sure. I don't know all the different things that we need, but we need a multi-pronged approach. Maybe we let you
Yeah.
offer our information.
So,
Say who you are.
yes, I emailed you, June McMorrow, Kings Pine Road, and many, you know me, I was here in May after Memorial Day weekend when I witnessed bad behavior up there at that time. And at that time, I believe I emailed you, but I came before you as well. And I made 2 suggestions, and one was to post the non-emergency police number, which I do tell people up there. Oftentimes people tell me, gosh, this is what's going on up there, but we don't know what to do about it.
Okay.
And I told you that Memorial Day,
Tell us again.
that I said that. And the other thing that I had suggested was on the weekends. I don't really think it's necessary during the week, unless the 4th of July is on a Wednesday. But, I think you have to use your head here. But on the weekends, I think there needs to be 3 or 4 regular stops up at the camps. And I did make those suggestions after Memorial Day, and I'm not sure what happened. I haven't seen the non-emergency number posted. But I wanted to ask too, so thank you for that back and forth, Matt, with my email. And you indicated, when I asked for some follow-up, you told me that you had some communication with Chief Chambers, and he said there was no infraction of the rules. And I guess I'm just wondering, what does that mean? Did the police officer go to the beach that I...
So, as
what-
recounted to me from Chief Chambers, the officer who did respond went to the beach. There were several people there. There was a couple of residents from town who were reading a book. The officer spoke with those residents to ask if any, behaviors with which violate the, the rules and regulations occurred, and they said they hadn't, seen any, they responded that no, they hadn't. So that was, I'm taking, the Chief Chambers and the responding officer at their word, that was, and so, I certainly, I'm glad that, you did call the police department,
Yeah.
and, they were able to go out and follow up, and I think they followed, they returned to the property later that afternoon. I think your email was 4:30, further on their shift, the officer's shift. But, nothing came, that,
So-
as told to me from Chief Chambers, they didn't observe any violations, and, they didn't provide a report
Yeah.
because nothing was.
Because I was walking up the North Road, and it was probably no more of a distance from here. The beach is probably no further than the end of the common, and I could smell steak tips cooking, much like I can smell in my neighborhood when I walk around. When I walk around my neighborhood in the evening, I could smell steak tips cooking.
Oh, steak, okay.
Yes, yeah, I could smell it very clearly. And I did walk over to the first camp that Destination Exploration just used. I walked through that camp. I'm not going to go down on the beach. I walked down that hill, halfway down that hill, and I could see an open flame, and I could see smoke coming off of the grill. And that was about 3:30, and by the time I walked back out to my car, it was about 3:40 when I called the police. When I was walking past the second gate to go down to that beach, I did pass 4 young men carrying a very large white cooler. Have they been making regular patrols there during the summer? Has there been any follow-up or back and forth between the commission and Chief Chambers over the course of the summer? Because I feel like this hasn't really changed at all. And, as some of you know, I come before you every year. Because things just never really seem to change over there. And typically, when I see this crowd, there can be 60 of them on the beach.
Wow.
And there's loud music. And I do have friends that walk their dogs up there, and they all pick up the trash on Monday mornings.
Matt, where would we put the signs? So they'd be obvious to the people on the beach that the police will be called, this is not if we created signs. Where would we do that?
I mean, there is an existing sign with the rules, the no.
How does it stay in someone's face?
It's
How do we-
nailed,
I mean, I don't-
it's nailed right on the tree. It's in red, it says warning. No
You have
light.
one now?
Yeah, it's there right now. It's been there for years. It says, "No lifeguard on duty. Swim at your own risk." It says, "No alcohol, no fires, no open grilling, no littering."
What if it also said, the police department will be called if you,
Yeah, reporting a violation.
On the sign.
Yeah, I
So
can
somebody
certainly
else
get
who
that.
saw it could call, and with the number for the police department.
Yep, I
Okay?
certainly can.
So that I'm not saying that's going to stop in June, but it's one more thing. So the people who don't have, the number or know what they want to call will, number one, get the number there.
Yeah.
That's just one thing we could also do, but more than one sign, I think.
I don't go up there a lot in the summer because of this.
I understand.
Because of this. And, during the week, I didn't walk a lot in July because it was so hot and humid and raining every day. But, my husband and I have been walking closer to the Stony Brook, which actually I wanted to ask, I think there's like 3 or 4 really big trees along the path that meanders along the Stony Brook. Should I bring my chainsaw over there and take care of that?
I don't think so.
I can ask the Westford Conservation Trust.
Is it still Bill and Bill Hammond and Dave Tebbets? Is there
I
someone?
was going to ask Rich, who was right here.
Oh, darn it, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 or 4 very big trees, and I'm pretty tall, and I have a hard time getting over them. So that might be nice, but
I think you could make that call if you wouldn't mind.
Who should I call?
Who's Rick?
Rich.
Rich Stratus, who's, yeah, I mean, I'll,
You
you
go to
know,
the
I'll go
Westford
out.
Conservation Trust website.
He's
I'll
the
do
president.
that. Strazis,
He's the president now, so.
the Westford Conservation Trust?
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll take care of that.
That'd be great.
Yeah. One point is, one of the things we had done is is asked about police patrols going down to the beach. And one of the challenges is, that's why we have the volunteer shifts of people going down, because they can't send a cruiser in there in case the cruiser then has to respond. So we've
Yes.
been looking at alternatives for getting somebody down to respond to go through the parking lot and to respond to incident. I will have to admit, I don't go to East Boston camps very much.
Yeah.
On the weekends, is there more than one beach that's in active use by the public?
Not really. It's the first beach. It's
Okay.
what I call the old ice
The other
house
two,
beach.
minimal usage,
Okay,
because it takes a half-mile walk.
It's a lot to carry all those coolers full of beer and your
but if
grills.
nobody's going to bother you on one of those other beaches, I'm wondering if sometimes that's where, if somebody is seeing, oh, we're getting a little too much attention here, do we go to the next beach down?
Haven't seen it yet, but it could happen.
Okay.
Can I ask another?
Yes, Marilyn?
What about the trash and the refuse? What do we have up there now?
The policy is carry in, carry out.
Great.
There are dumpsters that are, associated with the
Buildings?
lower camp, the two camps that are in active use.
Nothing on the beach, so.
No, nothing on the beach.
It's posted on a tree also. It says
I
this.
understand, but I'm trying to think of a way to have somebody dump it, but it would cost us something to have it emptied.
Somebody would have
I
to be
think we need
responsible.
to know what it would cost us to have it emptied
Okay.
and to have one there. To at least have something where you could throw your trash. I'm not saying it's the best answer, but it's better than throwing it on the beach. I just want to have I don't have enough facts of things we can do, so I'm looking for everything that we possibly could do. One doesn't negate the other, June.
Yeah.
It's just one more thing. You could do it this way, you can make the phone call, you have your signs up, just as much as we can
Yeah.
to solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
That may also be tickets to park your car, so that someone's there. I don't know.
I mean, why are the rules posted? The first rule says no alcohol. Well, we all know when
Because
people.
it used to be a nice world, but we didn't have
We all
these
know when
problems.
people drink, they do stupid things. The next thing says no fires and no grilling. Maybe not as much of a worry this year because of all the rain, but last year certainly. We don't want them to burn the place down. And the last thing is no littering. I mean, there's broken glass, there's pork bones, there's chicken bones, there's dirty diapers. There's just no regard.
So who cleans that?
People to go in there on Monday morning.
Yeah. All right, well,
I've done it, June's done it.
Oh, you mean
Dog
volunteers?
walkers,
Yeah, with-
townspeople that
So
don't
I
abuse the
definitely
property.
want to see a dumpster there.
But, and I think one of the things that I think would be helpful is it's great that volunteers are going in to pick up the trash, but if I think it also may help if people are taking pictures of what they see when there's trash to be picked up, so that people who remember the way it used to be are seeing, we have visual evidence for the measures we want to take.
It also may be that this causes us to have the parking lot where townspeople have a certain number of spots and not the out-of-town people. I'm not, it may affect the kind of parking that we do.
well, I'm not really sure the issue is where the people live. I think the issue is they come for the day, they drink all day, they leave all their trash.
I'm not saying it's out-of-towners, you think?
Well, I
it's
am
just-
saying it is out-of-towners.
Okay, so.
But I'm not really saying that that's the problem in my mind. The problem is they trash the place, they drink all day, there's no restroom facilities there, and they leave all their stuff. And I have gone down there. I don't do it anymore because I don't have a dog, but I went down there last summer, and 20 of them turn and stare at me and put
Sure, that would be intimidating.
and put their hands on their hip and tap their feet. And that does scare me. But
That's why we have to do all these things, so we can corroborate and get other heads together and figure out what else we can keep doing. You know, if, I don't have today's answer, but
I
I'm
know.
not gonna not do something.
So, I appreciate you listening to me. I like to use the property. I want to feel safe up there. I want everybody else to be able to use the property and feel safe up there. And I don't want this intimidation thing to be where we have the beach for the day and you're not welcome here. That's really not right. That's not what, we want the people with families to be able to go up there, and if there's that intimidation factor and loud music and alcohol, people aren't going to go up there with their children. So, thanks for listening to me again, and maybe I'll see you next year again at Memorial Day.
Well, hopefully that we'll be able to make little inroads into what you have said and let you know also what we're doing.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Bye.
This is what happens to signage, they just spray paint over
Yeah,
Okay, so we
exactly.
have to, you know what?
it. We have a sign that says, don't spray paint the signs.
So, I mean, obviously, unless you have somebody there all the time, we're not going to, all this will not disappear. I want to know what other places do.
Okay.
Let's take a little survey. Who else has an open land like this inside their town? What do you do?
Who has remote beaches?
Isolated, right,
But
isolated.
let's be able to make a case for what we need when we see what we need, you know? When we've spent this kind of money and we have this much land, you can't ignore it and pretend that it's not there. The town will have to support it. So I think we just need to do some homework.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to help in that in any way, Matt. Just yell and I'll make calls or do whatever. And I'll find out more about Concord. I'll find that out myself. But I can't do the application, okay?
I'll draft.
So Noel is not here, so we'll just,
And I don't have an update.
okay. So that's another one that's ongoing. Request for certificate of compliance.
The first, well, I could do, 28 Lakeshore Drive North is being tabled till next week. Again, I was a little overzealous, sorry. For Great Elm Way, this was a notice of intent in order that the commission recently issued for the removal of 2 pine trees within a bordering vegetated wetland. The work was completed. The standing snags are approximately 20 to 30 feet tall. The work looked to have been done cleanly. I think the arborist who went in to cut the tree actually was hoisted in by the crane, which exactly, with which the homeowner thought was quite impressive, and unfortunately their children did not find it as impressive. But the work was done in compliance, in substantial compliance with the order. I would recommend issuing the certificate of compliance.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1833 for Great Elm Way?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and minutes for August 9th.
Good.
They look good?
Yep.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for August 9th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Executive session minutes for June 14th, 2023.
Forgot to add to the agenda that these are for approval, but not for release.
Okay. I was gonna say that. So, no comments or questions?
Nope.
They look good.
And I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes for June 14th, 2023, but not for this,
But not to be released.
Not for release.
not for release at this time.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Site visits, recording or scheduling?
I have nothing.
Okay. Any other business? I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.